Hey there, folks. Welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture, and it's Billboard Breakdown. I don't remember. You know, I'm always hesitant about saying the charts are going back to normal at any point, especially in 2018 where we've got album bombs every other week, and especially in comparison to years where we got fewer entries as a whole. But outside of one new top 10 entry in particular, this week felt pretty typical. Not precisely great by any margin, kind of middle of the road, but it doesn't appear to be all that bad either. Well, okay, the top 10 doesn't give me a lot of confidence. Where for yet another week, Drake is squatting on top with In My Feelings at number 1. And considering its sales, streaming, and airplay, it's not going anywhere. I'd like to say that I Like It by Cardi B featuring J Balvin and Bad Bunny is a serious contender, but it literally got overtaken on the radio, and if streaming wasn't as good as it is, it'd likely be unseated by Girls Like You by Maroon 5 featuring Cardi B at number 3, which somehow has even more radio and sales traction. But now we gotta talk about our big top 5 entry at number 4, FEFE by 6ix9ine featuring Nicki Minaj and Murda Beatz. I will have a lot more to say about the song much later in the show, but it's here mostly because of YouTube and on-demand streaming, although that sales figure is disturbingly higher than I expected, probably coming from Nicki Minaj's camp. But coming behind it is Better Now by Post Malone at number 5, with even better sales, solid streaming, and the sort of steady radio growth that will probably keep this around when FEFE falls back. Now this pushes back Nice for What by Drake down to number 6, although given the losses across the board, not all that surprising, but also Booed Up by LMA down to number 7 as it seemed to peak in radio and lose a lot of sales, as well as Lucid Dreams by Juice WRLD down to number 8, as only good streaming can't be the only thing propping it up. Somehow Psycho by Post Malone featuring Ty Dolla $ign held its position at number 9 thanks to a slight streaming recovery holding up over airplay and sales losses. But finally, in our newest arrival to the top 10, and one that I'm not surprised whatsoever wound up here because of certain chart trends in 2018, Taste by Tyga featuring Offset, which rode a long streaming climb and just enough sales and radio to break in at number 10. Charming. But now let's move on to our losers and dropouts. Really, in the latter category, all that's really worth noting is Zombie by Bad Wolves and Everything's Gonna Be Alright by David Lee Murphy and Kenny Chesney. And the losers? Well, let's rattle through all the Drake again, starting up from the bottom with Can't Take a Joke losing to 100, Emotionless at 99, Don't Matter to Me with the late Michael Jackson at 54, Mob Ties hitting 53, and I'm Upset mercifully falling to 38. But it was a tougher week for new arrivals, taking some pretty serious hits, with Hopeless Romantic from Wiz Khalifa featuring Sway Lee down to 95, You Say by Lauren Daigle crashing to 74, Summertime Magic by Childish Gambino going to 69, God Is a Woman by Ariana Grande hitting 21, not dropping as far as I would expect, and sadly, Desperate Man by Eric Church hitting 94. Sadly, don't really expect it to stick around as much as I might want to. Radio doesn't seem like it's getting behind it. The rest of our losers pretty scattered. Up Down by Morgan Wallen and Florida Georgia Line went to 70, All Mine by Kanye West took a serious hit to 91, and Jumpsuit by 21 Pilots fell hard to 88. I don't know what to say to you about that other than I kind of told you so. Radio has just not gotten on board in any way. I don't expect that they're going to have a hit here. So if you want to take a look at our gains and returning entries, and honestly, it's a bit of a mess across the board here too. I truly wish it didn't take such dire circumstances for Sober by Demi Lovato to return at 56. Thankfully, she's recovering from the overdose, and I wish her all the strength that she needs. Handily take it over to Lose It by Kane Brown at 98, or whatever the hell Weezer did to Toto's Africa back even higher at 86. Now our gains, they're a collection of continued boosts and new arrivals getting traction, with the only exception of that being Big Bank by YG featuring 2 Chainz, Big Sean, and Nicki Minaj up to 28. Of our new arrivals picking up, look, I wasn't nearly as fond of Remind Me to Forget by Kygo and Miguel picking up to 79, but I'd take it over I'm a Mess by BB Rexa surging to 64. Similar case for our continued gains. I might not be precisely fond of either Medicine by Queen Naija continuing up to 65, or Simpiama by Becky G and Nutty Natasha to 72, but I would take either one of them over that Keith Urban, Julia Michaels thing, Coming Home up to 50. I mean, it sounds gross, Nashville. Why are you promoting this over Eric Church again? Can you fix this, please? Anyway, for once we got a more reasonable list of new arrivals, starting off with number 97, Lie by NF.
I'm just not your type. If that's how you really feel, then why'd you call last night? You say all I ever do is just control your life. But how you gonna lie like that? How you gonna lie like that?
So, Let You Down by NF became a hit this year, and I still don't care for it. Look, NF is a competent rapper, and I would put him above a fair share of his competition, but his wordplay has never impressed me, and his brand of angst just tend to set my teeth on edge. I'm not a fan, so I won't say I was looking forward to hearing this. And after a few listens, I'm sorry, this wannabe recovery-era Eminem angst does nothing for me, because at least Eminem could conceivably bring charisma and wordplay, or at the very least some sense of danger or edge or menace. NF, meanwhile, is an utterly inert presence behind the microphone on this song against dreary piano chords and a blocky drum machine as he tries to call out a girl for lying to him and using him amidst a pile of flubbed rhymes and increasingly insufferable implications. You call her out for her being immature, supposedly, and yet you then make a song like this where it becomes clear you can't read anything close to signals, where she might just be looking for friendship at this point, or maybe a little bit more, she just needs some time? One thing's for damn sure, after hearing this, I can't imagine any girl would want to be near NF for his mediocre brand of bitching, so yeah, not all that good. Next, number 93, You Should See Me in a Crown by Billie Eilish.
One bite, you should see me in a crown. Your silence is my favorite sound. Watch me make them bow. One bite, one bite, one bite, one bite, one.
So okay, I haven't quite been won over by Billie Eilish's collaborations with Khalid or Denzel Curry, but I haven't been put off by them either, so I was curious where she would take her lead-off single for her debut album. And to her credit, where she described as her inspiration was a line from Moriarty from BBC's Sherlock of all things, and yeah, I kinda hear it in the warping, borderline dubstep tremor in the low end against the trap skitters, what sounds like a knife scraping against glass, and a super hushed delivery from her, plus a bridge that's giving some passing glances to Sophie. It's a song that's designed to sound creepy and unsettling, and Eilish has the restraint to pull this off really quite well, especially with lyrics just oblique enough to imply something that's much darker. I'm also a little bit reminded of Ultra Red from October, but where she tilted into heavier industrial melodrama that could occasionally feel a little bit immature and oversold, Eilish is just unstable and magnetic enough to click into some genuine menace here, maybe even too subtle to be abused in every teenage melodrama like Riverdale. So yeah, Billie Eilish, she's got me on board with this. I want to hear more. Good stuff. Number 90, Nevermind by Dennis Lloyd.
If I left, then it made no sense. And you tell your friends, and they hold your hands, baby, never mind, never mind. Never mind, never mind, never mind.
It's hard not to see a pattern with these songs that blow up in the world but only months later pick up any traction in the United States. They tend to do well for a few weeks, maybe a few months on the Hot 100, and then they fall off before they have any chance for serious chart impact. And sadly, the quality tends to be all over the place too. Now, Dennis Lloyd is a pop R&B artist from Israel, and this is actually a song from 2016 that only now is crossing over worldwide, and the best way to describe it is that this is a Khalid song with hazier diction, more vocal overdubs, and a little bit more tempo groove, especially with the brighter acoustic touches that come around the hook. I will say it's a pretty decent groove when there's an odd hypnotic quality to the guitar looping melody at the core, but the lyrics maybe play a little bit too laid back for their own good, asking whether if he left for no reason how she'd handle it, for the response to be pretty lightweight and nonchalant overall. I don't know, kinda undercuts any tension there might be here, that's all I'm saying. So yeah, not precisely bad, and I can see this definitely getting an audience in certain very chill, maybe deep house dance clubs, but beyond that, yeah, not really. Number 81, Best Part by Daniel Caesar featuring H.E.R.
If life is a movie, oh, you're the best part. Oh, you're the best part. Oh.
it might just be me who finds it a little weird seeing Daniel Caesar on the Hot 100, but I'm not gonna complain if and when it happens, this being in collaboration with the California R&B singer H.E.R, who I've talked about on Billboard Breakdown before. And really, this is the sort of R&B duet that wins me over very quickly. Great low-key acoustic groove, some subtle bubbling electric guitar, genuine chemistry and subtle harmonies between Caesar and H.E.R, lyrics that might feel a shade bit underwritten in the love story being told, but I do like how the outro implies there might be a hint of distance to add just enough tension to actually give you a reason to care. In other reasons, it's damn near the definition of a modern quiet storm cut. Not a lot to say about it, but frankly it's a pretty good song. Check it out. Number 77, Level Up by Ciara.
Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy. Level up, 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 level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy. No, you want this yummy, yummy all in your tummy.
And on the other side of R&B, I'm a little startled how much I've warmed up to Ciara in the past couple of years. I think it's at least tied to her ditching Future and her voice developing some real deeper richness with age, or maybe because how much I genuinely love I Bet to this day. Man, that song should have been so much bigger in 2015. Now this, well, it's not better than Vienna Tang's song of the same name, but it's okay, I guess. The production sounds half pulled from Clean Bandit with the precise drippy fragments behind it and what sounds like a marimba skittering around the faster beats, but then you get the slightly grainy touches around the vocal production and the fact that this song is clearly trying to emulate Beyonce's dance hits in modern years like Formation, especially in a lot of the writing. Now, said message got actually a little controversial. It was partially linked to an Instagram post Ciara made with the song's hashtag, linking to a pastor talking about the best way for women to get a man, a conversation that I don't feel remotely qualified to touch on at all. And really, the song just seems like more of shallow empowerment cliches, not really connected to that Instagram post. So there's not really enough to say about it one way or the other. It's okay, I guess. Take that as you will. Number 60, I Might Need Security by Chance the Rapper.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you,
Yo.
fuck you, fuck you,
Nah, nah.
fuck you, fuck you,
Nah, nah.
fuck you, fuck you,
Nope.
fuck you, fuck you.
I ain't know it.
So am I the only one who thinks that Chance the Rapper's buzz might be losing a little bit of its luster? Maybe it's just the circles that I hang around, but when he released 4 songs from out of nowhere, they seem to vanish from the conversation really fast. And in this case, I kinda see why. Against a choppy, pitched up sample of Jamie Foxx crooning "fuck you," Chance the Rapper unloads at length against anybody who's pissed him off recently, from rather justified cases like Rahm Emanuel's questionable behavior as mayor of Chicago in recent years to tabloid media outlets and people who criticize him on Twitter. I'm not gonna lie, for someone with higher aspirations and what he practically describes as a God-given purpose on this song, clearly trying to frame him as the good guy, the sniping here feels really petty and unnecessary. And that's not even getting into the ethical conversations of him buying the Chicagoist paper amidst reports of him getting negative reviews pulled from other outlets, which is far from a good or populist look that you'd like to think you'd want to cultivate. And when you match it with this oddly humorless and kind of really sour song, yeah, I can't say I dig this, Chance. You're better than this, and this is not a good song at all. Number 37, Natural by Imagine Dragons.
You gotta be so cold to make it in this world. Yeah, you're a natural, living your life control. You gotta be so cold. Yeah, you're a natural.
Can somebody please explain to me what the hell Imagine Dragons are trying to do with these singles? Sure, they had that collaboration with Kygo that I think I liked more than anybody else, but now they're rolling out this, and I'm wondering if they're abandoning the Evolve release cycle early, because they've already found ways to license this as a college football anthem for ESPN. But since I don't care at all about college football, let's talk about the song itself, and it's basically feeling like Believer Part 2. Underwhelming acoustic guitar line, oversold percussion, vocals that push into an uncomfortable comfortable upper register for Dan Reynolds, and very little actual melody to support a song that's supposedly supposed to emphasize developing some sort of callous edge, only for the song to have no edge itself. For God's sake, 21 Pilots brought more of an edge than Imagine Dragons do with this, and even if it feels a little bit less shrieking and annoying than Believer was, it's not all that far removed. I can see this grating on me in a hurry. So yeah, this might be just a single license for ESPN. Let's keep it like that. I don't want to hear more like this. And finally, number 4, Fifi by 6ix9ine featuring Nicki Minaj and Murda Beatz.
I hit that, all I know is that I just can't wipe that. Talk to her nice so she won't fight back. Turn around, hit it from the back. Bet her down, then I make it clap. I don't really want no friends. I don't really want no friends, no.
So it's probably not a good thing that when I went to Genius to look up the lyrics for this song, I noticed a news article there where 6ix9ine openly admitted in an interview where he just went to the studio, he dicked around, didn't even try for this song, and came up with a hit thanks to landing Nicki Minaj in a big viral video. And while I genuinely tried to muster up some contempt for that, at this point, it's just not there anymore. I'm sorry. If only because most of hip-hop culture has made most of 2018 an endless string of humiliations for this clown and convicted sex offender, and his utter lack of convincing dimensionality will consign him to the margins of the genre within a year at most. Look what's happened to Kodak Black. And when you think the fans, even they weren't entirely on board with this, yeah, kinda easy to see why. As 6ix9ine his desaturated, auto-tuned melodic mold is not what anybody wants. He's such a non-presence in that lane. Granted, this song is all about treating women like disposable sex objects. A FEFE is apparently slang for such an object used by prisoners, which makes you wonder why on earth Nicki Minaj would stoop to being placed in anything close to that position. Now granted, her wordplay is marginally better in that it's just kind of forgettable brag rap, but even then, we're getting a bridge where 6ix9ine is going eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and suddenly I'm getting Justin Bieber flashbacks, and I can't even praise the production here with its watery synth loop and increasingly dour hook. Look, for 6ix9ine songs to be working at all, there needs to be some sort of intensity. And him and Nicki Minaj saying how they don't want any friends with delivery that might scream otherwise? Yeah, no. Lousy song. And I'd put money on this and 6ix9ine not really sticking around for that much longer. The way Nicki's going, she might be in the same camp. Anyway, Fifi's the obvious worst of the week, but Dishonourable mention really is a toss-up, but I think I Might Need Security by Chance the Rapper's gonna get it. I'm sorry. For only how pompous and sour it really feels, not a lane that's good for him, about the worst way possible he could have conveyed that message. Now for the best, you know it's close, but I think Best Part by Daniel Caesar and H.E.R will snag honorable mention, with You Should See Me in a Crown by Billie Eilish getting Best of the Week. What can I say? The tension, the atmosphere, it really clicked for me there. Next up, honestly, the next disruption might come from Nicki Minaj finally dropping Queen, or Travis Scott's got Astroworld coming out pretty soon, so unless we get some sort of surprise drop mid-August, we'll see what happens. But till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown on Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.